Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Just Casual Vlogs. Like I said, I am back. I don't know how regularly I'll be doing these, but I'm here yet again, roughly a little under a week later, putting this out. But yeah, I'm really excited to be talking and just like brain puking a little bit and just doing these. So today I want to talk about the LOLA community. If you guys have listened, if you listen to the LOLA Podcast, League of Legends Anonymous podcast that I talk about League of Legends, where we create a community to be entertained, to get better, and have more fun, basically. So with that podcast, we released an episode and where we kind of talked about Patreon a little bit, and then the latest episode, we talked about the feedback we got from the community and things that we want to do as a collective whole, and just like what we thought about the feedback that we got and our thoughts. And as we started talking about it, and recently I had a talk with a guy, Agile Otter, if you're listening to this. He found the podcast about a month ago, and last week was the first time he was part of community games, and he said it was a blast. And on the Patreon episode, I asked hey, if you guys have any talents, if we don't necessarily need financial backing, but if you want to give to the community, like your time and talents or resources, whatever they may be, that is super, super helpful, right? So he reached out to me. He's like, hey, I have a bit of a marketing background. I have this and that. So we actually talked last week, and it was really, really good because one, it was kind of nice because he was more of a professional in the way he talked about things. He has a lot of experience. He's not necessarily a really, really super young guy that you usually find with eSports or League of Legends. So I don't know how old he is, but he has some professional experience underneath his belt. So after talking with him and figuring out the goals that I have for LOLA, our Patreon page, our community, just whatever, my career, I kind of realized one thing, that I talk a lot about LOLA being a community and how I'm trying to create a community. And I am currently a community manager for Fantastic Yes. And how basically with LOLA, I would say I'm a content creator and a community manager for LOLA. So I talk about community a ton, and that's what I try to do with all the Gary Vee stuff that I digested and things like that. It's like giving and not asking, and providing more value and just doing the right thing, and eventually the success or whatever your goals will come, because kind of the whole karma idea, I guess, a little bit. I kind of lost sight of community, even though I talked about it a lot, right? And I didn't realize it until having this conversation with Agile, that no one knew really who I was before the podcast. Not that a ton of people do. Blake and Ernie, the other two co-hosts that started the podcast, they weren't really anyone on the radar when it comes to the League of Legends and stuff like that. So we started a podcast that has grown to getting 1,700 downloads a week, or 1,700 downloads per episode, from basically being no one's in the internet. And I was like, how did that happen? I was thinking about it. I'm like, I've said on resumes that I've put out there and stuff. I grew the podcast using Twitter and all that. Oh my gosh, my hair is a mess. I grew the podcast with Twitter and all that kind of stuff. And I realized the biggest thing was we actually created a community. We invited people, we talked to people, we found an audience that was looking for us. And it was very small, but because we spent a lot of time with our community and played games and talked to people and made the podcast community driven when it came to questions and content, the community grew and we got a following, right? It's not a huge following, but it is a ridiculous amount of people. If we say even half of 1,700, because I don't know how padded the stats are or how they work, and if people download multiple ones, or maybe half the people download it all off of one IP, if in a dorm room or campus internet, something like that. So numbers get a little weird when it comes to stats, but 1,700 downloads, even if we had half of that, if for some reason our stats were super inflated and we had 800 downloads, that's a huge community. I know on our Discord, I checked before, and we had 500 people logged onto our Discord. I definitely haven't talked to 500 different people, but 500 people at least checked us out and haven't removed us off their server list, Even our Twitch following is over 100, I think, something like that. YouTube, we have over 100, I think, subscribers. So we actually have yes, it's not millions, it's not PewDiePie, it's not It's not like Last Shadow. It's not a lot of the streamers out there, but it is actually something. It's really cool to see that we've done that. And I've been trying to, over the last like year and a half, take it really seriously and push hard. And I think it was interesting because I took the approach in making sure the content was really, really good, because I think that's super, super important. If we have a crap podcast, well, then no one's going to listen to it. But the biggest thing that actually caused our growth, which I was reminded by Agile, is the community focus. You know, our target audience is like 18 and up, and most of our audience is probably between 25 and 35. And that means they're mostly men that have children or families, wives, or are working professionals. That means that they don't have as much time or freedom to play video games because they just have more responsibilities than maybe a high school student or a college student. Potentially, most likely. So the cool thing about that, and you know, in college and high school, you have tons of friends. When you're an adult, it's harder to come by friends, and there's less friends that you really want to like hang out with. It becomes more of a quality thing versus a quantity thing. So when it comes to playing League of Legends, when it's a game where you don't really want to play it alone, unless you're super, super competitive, and a lot of people that don't have a ton of time to be super competitive, like that's probably not a huge goal. Huge goal is to have fun playing the game and enjoy it and play with other people, you know? And that's what I found when I was looking for a community, when I joined like Low Elo, Trinity Forest, and started finding those podcasts during my basically the beginnings of my journey, right? So then I started thinking like, okay, content's really important. I need to do social media marketing, all this kind of stuff. But I really need to go back to the grassroots and like focus on the community more. I need to actually be in my Discord more. I need to be streaming more often and talking to people that are watching me stream. I need to be doing those kind of things to grow the community, be community focused, and be like a voice. Because I also like, it's weird to think that people care to hear me talk to them. For example, last community games, Blake jumped into Discord between community games, between while we were shout casting, and talked to people. And Agile told me like that was really, really cool. And I find myself to be a pretty humble person. I don't like to like toot myself up too much and stuff like that. So I kind of forget that I'm actually someone people want to talk to and have visibility. And it also kind of takes me down from a pedestal and be like, hey, I'm a human being. Like, don't worry. Like, I'm not some celebrity or anything like that. Again, not that I am a celebrity. And I was like, oh, okay. I really need to start focusing on community and genuinely focusing on individuals and stop looking at the numbers and stop looking at the content so much. If I take care of the community, if I create a really good place and to be part of it, not just create a community and be like, this is my community that I don't interact with. Like, this is a community that I am a part of. I am a part of this community. It is not my community. And I really need to like internalize that better and to continue to give my time, which is super valuable to me, but give my time and attention towards our listeners and our community. And that's kind of shaping what I'm trying to do for the future podcast. I really want to spend less time on the content and more time on the community. I could probably find people to actually work on the content for me, right? That is probably replaceable skills versus finding someone to take care of the community for me with my vision and, you know, my personality and Blake's personality and Ernie's personality, and then everyone that's been involved in since then, like Brad, Tyler, Aiden, Manny, Alec, Luke. Like, I'm sure I'm missing a lot of people. And then all the people that weren't co-hosts and stuff like that, they've all helped build that vision of the community. I can't just find someone to do that. It's not easy. My personality, my skills, my voice had a strong part in that, and I can't overlook that and also diminish that. That's very, very hard to replace compared to labor or technical skills, you know, those soft skills. So I really want to start doing that. And that also means like more community games, more emphasis on getting together and inviting people to play together, more emphasis on my Discord channel and being in there, more emphasis on the Facebook groups where we're having conversations, more emphasis on doing LOLA tournaments, which we talked about, having community members come onto the podcast, no matter how difficult that technical part of that might be, figuring out a way to do that. And I really want this to feel like a community and a family. Family might be a strong word, but family. It also is kind of a buzzword, and I don't want to jump on that bandwagon. But yeah, that is my vision for LOLA, and that's what I'm trying to work towards. And it's not going to be easy. It's going to require more time. It's going to be hard to avoid being a perfectionist when it comes to like the content that I put out. But this is one, it fits my goal in like building the community and like finding more success in the sense of numbers, because I really do believe that if I take care of the community will take care of itself and it'll grow. So I really want to change that. I'm going to have a meeting with the LOLA guys. I think this Saturday, I think that's when it was planned, to talk about this and make sure everyone's on the same page. Because this is really important. Everyone has to be on the same page on this. If you're not, you at least have to agree with it. Doesn't mean you have to participate super heavily on it. You just might not be part of the community stuff. You might be part of the technical stuff. You might be part of the labor stuff. You might be part of different things. But I really want community to be important in how we grow the podcast, and that's how it'll grow. So it was a big wake-up call. I really, really appreciate this meeting that I had with Agile. And yeah, that's really what I want to talk about. There's plenty of other stuff to talk about, a lot of things to catch up on. If you have something you want to talk about or a suggestion for the community, let me know in the comments below. For the very few people that you watch this, I appreciate your attention. I'll see you guys next time.